The cries of the seagulls outside my bedroom window first greet me as I slowly blink awake. I glance over at the empty space beside me with a quiet sigh, the imprint of Daniel's head still visible on his pillow. My husband has already left early this morning, off on another one of his intense painting trips, capturing the rocky coasts and windswept beaches that inspire his work. I haul myself out of bed to start some coffee, my oversized paint-splattered shirt falling over my bare legs. I can't even remember when I started stealing Daniel's old shirts to sleep in. They envelop me like hugs from my often absent artist. Glancing at the paintings of sailboats and lighthouses decorating our beach cottage walls, I feel both comforted and wistful. This home is filled to the brim with his passion, with pieces of him etched into the very walls. Yet some days I still feel the lingering silence of his absence most profoundly. The coffee pot gurgles as I gaze out the kitchen window, watching the boats rock gently in the early dawn light of our fog-tinged harbor. This view welcomed me every morning when Daniel and I first married 5 years ago. We were drunk on love and brimming with shared dreams back then, two free spirits merging our creative passions. I had such hopes for the life we would build here together with my counseling career and his promising talent. But with Daniel constantly traveling for inspiration, I often find myself wandering this picturesque cottage alone. The first year of having him gone half the month nearly drove me mad. But you adjust. You find distractions. A girls' trip with Jenna here, a few extra sessions at my counseling practice there. You dull the sting until it becomes background noise. I shake my head, banishing my melancholy thoughts with another sip of inky coffee. I know Daniel hates being away from me too during his trips. His devotion to his art is just something I've had to gradually accept, no matter how detached it makes me feel at times. Grabbing my keys, I start mentally listing my errands and counseling appointments. Onwards with my day, my routine in this quaint waterside town I call home, where I patiently await my beloved's safe return. Just as I always have, just as I know I must, I awake with a start, momentarily disoriented until I register the familiar glow of the bedside clock, 2:47 a.m. The cottage is silent except for the distant crash of ocean waves outside. I reach for Daniel's side of the bed, only to find cold sheets, the imprint of his head still visible on the pillow. My heart sinks. He must have gotten back late from his trip and decided to sleep in the guest room rather than wake me. I creep down the dark hallway, expecting to find him passed out paint, splattered as usual, but the guest bed is untouched. I scour Daniel's small studio space just to be certain, anxiety rising in my chest. Paints sit half-opened and brushes soak in murky jars, everything just as he left it weeks ago. Where on earth is he at this hour? I think back to all the odd occurrences over the past 6 months. Whispered phone calls that ended abruptly when I entered the room, credit card charges from a small motel up the coast I didn't recognize. And was it my imagination, or did our close friend Jenna seem cagey the last time I asked if she knew about Daniel's painting locations? As I sink back into our sheets alone, inhaling Daniel's lingering scent, all my worst fears creep to the surface. Does he have another muse inspiring him somewhere? Another woman? Perhaps a fellow artist providing a spark of inspiration and intimacy? We've always prided ourselves on radical honesty, but could Daniel be the one hiding something for once? I hear the front door creak open, shaking me from my spiraling doubts. Heavy footsteps make their way down the hall towards me. I squeeze my eyes shut, pretending to sleep as Daniel's familiar weight sinks into the mattress. The acrid scent of turpentine and paint follows him under the covers as he pulls my curled body against his broad chest. "You're home?" I whisper, still facing away. His fingers find mine as he whispers, "Apologies for waking me into my tangled hair." I cling tightly to his calloused hand, as if that could confirm his faithfulness, the closeness of our first days together. The knots in my stomach will not abate, though. I am unsure how much longer I can tamp down the suspicions that flood my waking thoughts and haunt my restless dreams. Something is coming. I can feel the change in my very bones. I pace the living room, glancing impatiently out the rain-streaked window every few minutes. The wind has picked up, bending the trees and sending leaves dancing across the darkened street. The storm matches the one raging in my heart as I wait for Daniel's headlights to pull into the drive. He had cheekily invited me to an impromptu date night after returning from his latest trip up the coast, but my mind churns with the confrontation I've been rehearsing for days. The credit card receipt I found in Daniel's jacket pocket last week with over $100 charged at a cozy bed and breakfast. The same one listed on multiple other receipts spanning months, making my worst fears concrete. The sound of tires on wet pavement finally reaches my ears over the storm's din. Taking a deep breath, I smooth my dress, mentally preparing my opening argument. Before I can utter a word, Daniel bursts through the front door, beaming, rain dripping from his wavy brown hair. In his hand sits a bouquet of seaside wildflowers wrapped in parchment paper, my favorite. "Sweetheart, sorry I'm late. The florist took forever with this custom order," he says, kissing my cheek enthusiastically. I planned a whole romantic night since I've been away far too often lately. Hopefully this will make up for my preoccupation these past months. My anger melts momentarily in the glow of his boyish smile. I had almost forgotten this side of Daniel, the wildly creative romantic. Seeing the candles he has set out, 2 glasses of wine, the rose petals leading down the hall, my preparations to demand the truth flee my mind. Tonight, I don't want to be the victimized wife. I want to again be the woman he once passionately loved. If just for a few hours, where we both can pretend the old magic between us remains untouched by time and distance. I take the flowers and Daniel's hand, allowing him to lead me toward whatever this evening may hold. Consequences be damned. The truth will come, in its own time. But under the candlelight with Daniel caressing my face gently, I realize that part of me hopes it somehow never will. I awake to cold sheets yet again, Daniel's side of the bed glaringly empty. A knot forms in my stomach as I brace for what his absence might mean after our intimate reconnection last night. I called out of work today, hoping to spend the morning with Daniel, relearning one another beyond the veil of unspoken hurts and doubts. The aroma of fresh coffee draws me toward the kitchen, my bare feet cold on the tile floor. A neatly written note in Daniel's familiar scrawl sits propped on the counter. "Dearest Elena, I'm sorry I couldn't bear to wake you this morning. You looked so beautiful and at peace. I received an urgent call that the owner of a seaside gallery is interested in displaying and selling some of my paintings from the Northern Coast series. I've rushed off to discuss details before she changes her mind. This could be huge for my career. I promise I will make it up to you. Yours forever, Daniel." My stomach flips, tears stinging behind my eyes. So he slips away again without discussion, ignoring the intentions of forging real intimacy I thought we shared last night. Will he ever stop taking my support and love for granted to chase his artistic pipe dreams? I notice a piece of paper flutter from between the counter and the wall as I crumble his note in my fist. Retrieving the document, bold official print leaps out. "Petition for dissolution of marriage." My hands shake, breath coming in gasps. Why would Daniel's attorney be drawing up divorce papers without even speaking to me first? Underneath sits a second document, a letter in Daniel's writing addressed simply to my muse. The paper is splattered with flecks of emerald and cobalt paint, eliciting a fresh wave of sobs. Hands trembling, I force myself to read the lyrical words, "My dearest Elena, by the time you read this, I will be gone from your life forever. I cannot bear for you to watch the monster I fear is slowly overtaking my mind and body, destroying the man you fell in love with stroke by stroke. Please know that you brought me the only true happiness I have ever known. You were my ultimate muse. I could never have produced my greatest works without your faith in my talents. The investor who purchased my entire Northern Coast collection convinced me that you will be provided for financially from the sale proceeds if I should pass sooner than expected. Consider it my final gift as your failed husband. Be free to find someone worthy of you who can be the steady rock that I could never be. Know that I die loving you passionately in the way only great tragedies can inspire. Always your Daniel." The world spun around me as the letter falls from my grasps. Daniel is gone, perhaps forever, and if the strange language of disease and death in his letter is to be believed, soon only his ghosts may remain to haunt the halls of our once happy cottage, echoing memories of treasured days gone by. I sink to the cold floor as sobs rack my body, clutching shreds of our dissolution papers like a lifeline before the darkness envelops me completely. The ferry's horn sounds, jolting me from my memories as the shoreline comes into view. I brace myself against the railing, taking steadying breaths in the briny air. It's been 6 long months since that awful day I found Daniel's mysterious letter. The weeks following blur together, endless nights curled on the couch crying, days packed in a fog as I went through the motions of work and life in our cottage full of ghosts. My friend and confidant Jenna was the one who suggested I get away for a while. We scoured rental listings for hours until an advertisement caught my eye, a room available on remote Solitude Isle off the northern coast, where legend has it, artistic souls retreat to heal heartbreak and writer's block. Daniel and I had always romanticized traveling there together someday. It seems fitting I make the sojourn alone now. As the ferry dock groans loading my lone bags, tears sting my eyes. The initial ache of Daniel's loss has dulled to a persistent throb, flaring randomly when memory strikes, like recognizing his favorite Merlot on the rental's menu tonight, the print and echo of the wine labels he hand-painted for the cottage once upon a time. I breathe deeply as my feet meet weathered dock planks, seagulls crying mournfully overhead. The innkeeper, elderly Mrs. Tillman, hugs me fiercely, smelling of rosewater and mothballs. "We've been expecting you, dear. Let me show you the community caregiver cottage you'll be staying in." As we walk the winding island paths, she explains my role assisting aging residents and vacationing artists. The work sounds meaningful, distraction I sorely crave. Still, Daniel's lingering presence weighs my steps, our dream weekend getaway now host to my self-imposed solitary exile. I clip back my aid badge, steeling myself before knocking firmly on the weathered driftwood door. Mrs. Tillman warned me this new resident I'm assigned to can be particular, a mysterious artist who arrived recently seeking solitude to focus on his life's work in his final days. "Terminal brain cancer," she whispered. "Such a tragedy for someone so gifted." My chest clenched hearing the news, thoughts instantly going to my Daniel disappearing to escape a similar fate. Shaking off the thought, I straighten my shoulders and rap twice more firmly. A faint "come in" finally reaches my ears from within the small cabin set back amongst the seagrass. I turn the knob slowly, scanning the dim living room. Canvases lean haphazardly around paint-splattered drop cloths, the sharp tang of turpentine piercing the air. My heart stops as a familiar figure emerges from the shadows. "Daniel?" "How?" I gasp, gripping the doorframe for balance. His gaunt face breaks into a weakened grin, those same sea-green eyes cutting into my soul. He looks wispy and pale, a fey creature instead of the vibrant man I knew, especially with a navy bandana obscuring patches of missing chestnut waves. But it's him, truly here in flesh and bone. "Elena, my love," he rasps, shuffling forward tentatively. "What fate brought you half a coast away to my island respite?" Hearing his voice again after so long, it takes every ounce of restraint not to collapse weeping into his frail arms. "You don't get to ask that right now," I fire back, anger and hurt surging to the surface. "You left without explanation, spoke of death and disease. I thought you were gone forever, and now here you waste away finishing paintings as if our entire history and marriage didn't happen?" Daniel cringes under my tirade, hands raised plaintively. "Please, sit. I have much explaining to do about why I disappeared, but seeing you here now, perhaps the fates have granted us a second chance." Confusion, relief, love all riot within me, staring into Daniel's glistening eyes. In spite of myself, a single traitorous tear traces down my cheek at the reunion I never dared dream possible. Daniel winces as I help ease him down onto the faded quilt, his movements slow and hunched like a man twice his age. My heart aches seeing hints of the once vibrant athlete's body now whittled to skin and bones by his illness. I brush the thought away as I sit facing him, cross-legged, our knees barely touching. "So," I begin softly, "I guess you have some explanations about why you vanished without a trace? Made me think you had abandoned our marriage without even trying to fight for us?" Daniel swallows hard, Adam's apple bobbing above his bandana. "I learned about the terminal brain cancer 2 weeks before our last fight," he whispers. "By the time we reconnected that passionate night, I'd already decided to spare you the pain of watching the disease ravage me. My artist patron, the one who bought my paintings, he helped arrange this cottage on Solitude for my remaining days. He knows the battle intimately, as his brother passed the same way." My eyes prick with tears as Daniel relays his tale, heart aching at the burden he bore alone. "But why couldn't you trust me to handle the truth?" I whisper. Daniel's eyes cloud with shame. "You loved me for my vibrancy, Elena, my lust for life itself. I couldn't watch that fire in you slowly die, witnessing my deterioration, and I refused to become someone you felt forced to care for out of duty or guilt either, so I ran, as the coward I am." His words hit my core as I imagine the intense fear and heartbreak he endured, believing himself abandoned. On impulse, I grasped Daniel's worn hands in mine. "We wasted so much time these last months in pain and misunderstanding, but I'm here now, and I'm not leaving you ever again." Daniel's relieved sob echoes mine as we hold each other close, feeling the familiar rhythms of our hearts as one. The island breeze swirls around us, carrying echoes of a promise that our lost days can somehow be redeemed. I awaken with a start, momentarily forgetting where I am. The familiar scent of turpentine brings reality crashing back. I'm curled up on Daniel's paint-splattered couch, having kept vigil by my husband's side these last 3 days since his condition sharply declined. The cancer is ravaging him rapidly now. Mrs. Tillman warns it's only a matter of time. I creep to the bedroom doorway, chest tightening at the sight of Daniel's emaciated frame looking diminished against the pillows. But the faintest smile graces his lips, eyes closed as if at peace. I settle gently at the edge of the mattress, taking his slender hand in mine. Eyelids slowly open to meet my gaze, the same piercing green that first captivated my soul years ago across a crowded gallery. "My muse," Daniel's voice scrapes like sandpaper, still bearing echoes of its musicality. "I'm so very lucky. You found me here at the end." His words decay into ragged breaths. "Hush, my love, reserve your strength," I soothe, though we both know it is futile. I stroke back his wispy chestnut waves, damp with feverish sweat, cherishing the closeness fate gifted us this past month. Reconciliation beyond what I dared imagine those first bleak nights on the island, missing him so profoundly. As the light begins to fade, Daniel stirs, eyes slowly refocusing on me with sudden clarity. "Do not grieve for long, my Elena. You brought my soul the only true happiness it ever knew." His voice gained strength like an echo from our healthy past. With a final contented sigh, his breathing slows, gently drifting away on the sweet island breeze. I bow my head, allowing grief to overwhelm me in heaving sobs. My one true love, the man who awakened my passions and haunted my dreams, fate cruelly returned him only to rip us apart forever. The cabin walls echo with ghosts from our treasured final days together. I cling to them now like a lifeline, raindrops pattering softly on the windowpane as Daniel finds his peace at last. I run my fingers over the battered tin box, recalling the moment I first discovered Daniel's hidden trove of letters and paintings. It was while packing his cottage 3 months after his passing, delayed because I couldn't bear to disturb remains of the life we rebuilt in those blissful final weeks together. The box tumbled from where it was wedged behind a ceiling beam, its contents spilling across the paint-splattered floor. Delicate charcoal sketches of my sleeping form, vibrant coastal vistas echoing our early dating adventures, even whimsical paintings depicting our future children frolicking on the beach, their wild hair and eyes unmistakably echoing my lost loves. Tucked between the canvases were a series of letters addressed simply to my muse, chronicling Daniel's deepest hopes and afflictions those months when we were separated. They revealed insights into his harrowing disease battles, the comfort he found recounting each detail of our treasured past. The last letter contained instructions to establish a small creative arts gallery on Solitude Isle showcasing his paintings, using proceeds from their sales towards community arts programs and neurological disease research. My breath catches reading Daniel's earnest wishes. Envisioning this future he carefully set in motion for me from beyond the grave. Suddenly, the path stretches clearly before my feet at last. Daniel left this island cocoon where we found each other again for a reason, and from the ashes of our story, others might now rise stronger. The grand opening arrives on a brisk autumn morning 3 months later, an eclectic crowd gathered by the weathered gallery storefront. My gaze lingers on Daniel's stunning seascape, adorning the entryway as sunlight filters through the glass, seeming to set the very waves afire. Just like my lost love, still igniting hearts ablaze with his timeless gift even after his passing. As patrons stream eagerly inside, I smile up at the newly installed sign, Muse Gallery, feeling Daniel's whisper in the rustling leaves, our crashing tragedy somehow transformed into hope for storms yet to come. I sink down onto the weathered dock bench, watching the ferry disappear towards the setting sun. It's been a year since the Muse Gallery opened, tourists and art patrons still flocking steadily to our remote outpost. My heart swells seeing Daniel's stunning seascapes adorning brochures and postcards in the local shops now. His piece is even more breathtaking and haunting knowing the man and his hidden depths. Glancing down at the rumpled parchment in my hands, a bittersweet smile teases my lips. It's the letter that arrived this morning tucked between Daniel's old paintbrushes displayed in the gallery, postmarked last year by my love before his passing. Even now he surprises me, each time I believe the well of unspoken words between us to finally be depleted. Unfolding the letter carefully, I savor Daniel's comforting, elegant scrawl before taking in the words anew. Dearest Elena, my time left in this world now is painfully brief. Already the creeping darkness blurs my sight and steals away precious moments between us. And while I am ready for whatever comes next on this journey, my spirit still longs to gift you a final truth. One last vanquishing of the demons I fear still haunt you in unguarded moments, denying you the rightful peace you deserve. You see, my beautiful, steadfast wife, there was never another muse but you. My frequent painting trips those painful years before. They were born not from passion for another, but an all-consuming drive to capture on canvas vistas and moments I feared my failing mind and body soon would not allow. Yes, there were small lies and secrecies back then, but only in hopes of shielding you from dark omens of disease for a short while longer. Never doubt that yours was the only face in my heart, yours the only embrace my hands longed to caress. Please forgive any hurts or doubts my weaknesses caused, beloved. Watch now as my spirit soars in liberation on every sea breeze thanks to you, my savior, my redemption, my one true home, yours in this world and the next, Daniel. Tears trace down my cheeks, a bittersweet ache swelling in my chest. After enduring the long isolated months plagued by hurt and doubt, Daniel's earnest words were the absolution my soul craved. With trembling hands, I gently release that last resentment and pain borne on the winds over the glimmering ocean, feeling my own spirit rise unfettered towards whatever dream awaits beyond the horizon.